Go ahead.
Balance of power among nations will hold. The traditional divisions between nations of the South and the North make no sense in an interconnected world.
He's so full of crap. I mean, ladies and gentlemen, he's just so full of crap. We've reached a point where he just loves hearing himself speak. I've never heard anything like this. Never. You know, Harry, I have a gift. No, you don't. All right, more. Cut. No, this is a blow at the heart of our ally Israel. And I guarantee you, when Obama talks this way, you know what he's doing? He's encouraging the enemy. He's encouraging violence among nations. He's almost giving the green light to Israel's enemies to attack her. Listen to this. Cut 5. Go.
We continue to call on Palestinians to end incitement against Israel. And we continue to emphasize that America does not accept the legitimacy of continued Israeli settlements. The time has come to relaunch negotiations without preconditions that address the permanent status issues, security for Israelis and Palestinians, borders, refugees, and Jerusalem. And the goal is clear. 2 states living side by side in peace and security. A Jewish state of Israel with true security for all Israelis, and a viable, independent Palestinian state with contiguous territory that ends the occupation that began in 1967 and realizes the potential of the Palestinian people.
Okay, this is the real Barack Obama. The Israeli occupation that began in 1967. Israel was attacked, almost destroyed, almost overwhelmed. It was unprovoked. She defended herself with our support, and she won. Now, to say this is occupied territory is an absolute outrage. And what he is telling the surrounding Arab countries and the terrorists that are Hamas and Hezbollah is that the United States no longer recognizes Israel's borders, no longer recognizes Israel's right to secure its country. And so the end point has to be the 1967 borders. And I would have asked Obama, but of course, I never get to ask Obama anything because he's really way too smart. Why the 1967 borders? Where did Jordan's borders come from? Where did Syria's borders come from? Where did Lebanon's borders come from? They were all created. Where did Iraq's borders come from, or Persia's, that is Iran's borders, come from today? What was Saudi Arabia 100 years ago? There was none. Or Kuwait. Why is it that Israel's borders go back to a certain date, even though they've had to win several wars to defend themselves? But Jordan's borders are permanent. Syria's borders are permanent. Lebanon's borders are permanent. Saudi Arabia, which really didn't exist 100 or so years ago, its borders are permanent. Kuwait's borders are permanent. Yemen's borders are permanent. Egypt's borders are permanent. But Israel's borders are always up for negotiation. And with whom? Her enemies. Her enemies. He talks about a Palestinian state with contiguous territory. How would you do that? The Gaza Strip, which used to belong to Egypt, and the West Bank, which used to be part of Transjordan, that is Greater Jordan, when it was created in the earlier part of the last century. How do you connect the two without dividing Israel? Since they don't have contiguous borders. So count Israel as another country down the tubes if Obama has his way. That's right, I said it. Honduras. The only regimes that are permanent regimes are regimes headed by dictators or nut jobs. Honduras is a democracy. He rejects it. Israel is a democracy. He rejects her security. But he rejects our security, too. He's unleashing prosecutors against our interrogators. He's ready to pull out of Afghanistan for all intents and purposes. When he said during the campaign, that's where the real fight is. He's willing to sit down with the Islamo-Nazi regime in Iran, which is denying the Holocaust, which funds terrorism all over the world, and olive branch out to them. This is the perverse belief system of an ideological radical. I'm trying to educate some of you knuckleheads over there at MSLSD. This isn't just a liberal who disagrees with us, who loves his country and loves liberty. We just have disagreements on the merits. No. This guy's the real thing. I keep using that phrase to describe him. He's the real thing. He's a believer. Or as Eric Hoffer would call him, a true believer. And you know, there have been true believers. And he's one of them. And he happens to believe in the wrong things. Now, here's more Barack Obama. Cut 6, go.
Some of our actions have yielded progress. Some have laid the groundwork for progress in the future. But make no mistake, this cannot solely be America's endeavor. Those who used to chastise America for acting alone in the world cannot now stand by and wait for America to solve the world's problems alone. We have sought, in word and deed, a new era of engagement with the world. And now is the time for all of us to take our share of responsibility for a global response to global challenges. Now, if we are honest with ourselves, we need to admit that we are not living up to that responsibility.
Well, what is he talking about? What the hell is he talking about? Other than surrendering our sovereignty, that's clear. We know he believes in that. We all have to get together and do what it is that we all have to do. I've never heard such brilliance. Oh, my God. He means climate change. Cut 7, go.
The danger posed by climate change cannot be denied. Our responsibility to meet it must not be deferred. If we continue down our current course, every member of this assembly will see irreversible changes within their borders. Our efforts to end conflicts will be eclipsed by wars over refugees and resources.
That's enough. You know what? This is such idiocy. This is what Reagan meant. This is what I mean by the ideologue who denies evidence and facts. The world is cooling. The head former dupe at the UN that helped put out these phony global warming reports, even he says, the world's cooling. Hasn't warmed up in 10 years. We'll move him off the list. Don't invite him back. So the documented evidence is counter to what he said, but it just doesn't matter. He is trying to lead a juggernaut where government will run the economy. The government will run the economy. That's the excuse of climate change. It's not about man-made climate change, as they call it. It is a belief that man cannot be left alone to do what he wants to do, to create what he wants to create. And whatever happens, he shouldn't be able to keep what he creates. That's what this is all about. And I don't know about you, but it's bad enough when it's proposed in the United States as opposed to the entire world. We'll be right back.